You're listening to Heroes in the Moment. What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And today we're breaking down The Penguin, episodes 2 and 3.
Come on, let's get to it.
Inside Man and Bliss were the episodes. And man, this show, dude.
It's good, man.
It's good.
It perfectly encapsulates Gotham. Fits perfectly with Batman. Man, I can't imagine what the budget is on the show. But the show is cooking now.
It's cooking.
It's cooking for the first episode, let's be honest. But man, the show is good.
Yes,
I'm really enjoying it.
It was so good. And I love the relationships that are developed between Penguin and Sofia Falcone. I think that was just really my favorites and the standouts because I love Sofia.
You're so uneasy the entire time.
Every time she's on screen, you're just like, ooh.
Bro, have you seen the weirdos on there? They're like, I could fix her. You seen those? Those people on Reddit or Twitter like, dude, I could fix her, I promise. And
just
then
1 hour with me.
Bro, and then the official Warner Brothers Twitter account said, no, you can't. They replied to that comment. They're like, I promise you can't.
That is funny.
Because weirdos will ship them or whatever. Like they're powerful as a team, right? But the whole time, like they both
they're corrupt.
They're going at each other. They're both scummy. You got a hangman, and you got the penguin, right? And they both know that the other one is going to cut the other one out as soon as they get the chance.
Point,
so you just feel that tension in every scene.
And I loved how episode 2 started. It started with her back in Arkham and like her having a therapy session and her like reliving those moments and her brother's death. And like, that was just a really cool scene and kind of breaking into her character and showing us a little bit more about her and how her psyche is different than others, you know, and what's, the reasons for that.
I think this is kind of where you kind of started to like her as a character, or at least pity her. You know what I'm saying?
You pity her.
You start to kind of feel what she went through.
Right. Right.
Not to say that she didn't kill 7 women that they know of, but
a lot of people. Yeah.
But they're making her likable.
They are, and they're doing a really good job with that. And then with Penguin, this episode was really all about him, going to Falcone's, going to the Maronis, and just kind of manipulating both sides to where he can put himself on top.
Dude,
that's his goal, and he's
good.
So good at it,
bro. Like I was telling Lauren, my wife earlier, man. This just reminds me of like Cersei Lannister season 1, just like that manipulative, like just. Ooh, he's so good at playing these sides, man.
He is. He's going to the Maronis, telling them what they want to hear, telling them he's on their side.
The whole thing with the ring and everything.
Yes,
my God.
Telling them this, that, or the other. And then he goes to Falcone's. He's like, I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to figure out why the Maronis did this when he did it the whole time. And it's just brilliant. He's such a good player of it. And the way that he's just really trying to urge himself on top. So this brings the question of, do we think, and just the theories, by the end of the season, will Penguin be the top dog of Gotham? Will he be
by the
over
end of the season?
Because this is going to be a one and done. This is not.
You think so? Okay. I mean, I feel like it has to. I feel like maybe at the very end, here in the next couple episodes, I think we'll start to see a lot of the big dogs from both sides, the Maronis and the Falcones, drop away. And I think the finale would just be him and Sofia. I think that's what they're building up to. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept Sofia around though for some of the movies. I think she's brilliant.
One
as well.
or two, because one of two ways. I think they either they'll save her for the final episode, and then Penguin will kill her, realizing that she has no more value and he's on top, or another one is they will keep her around for the future and to be a future villain or something. I'm more leaning towards, I think that she will be killed. I think Penguin will kill her at the end, showing that once and for all, he's on top of the Falcons and the Maronis as well, potentially. So
I'm just looking forward to it because like both of them are plotting like 5 steps ahead, they're constantly trying to be ahead of each other. Now she has a lot more resources than he does, but he has a lot more connections and he's on the street more. Right. So it's really cool to see that dynamic.
And I do think it's interesting to think, because a lot of shows and stuff, you get insight into what your main character is planning, what your main character is doing, what their thoughts. And with this show, you almost don't know what Penguin's moves are going to be.
Yeah, or Sophia's too.
Right.
Because you don't get to see her in her time. Everything she's throwing at, Cobblepot, he has no idea what's coming.
No, and
he's making everything up on the fly, which is what makes episode 2 so good.
Right.
Because he's just reacting to everything.
Good. He's like, when the Maronis
out.
are getting onto him, he's like, check my pocket, see what I got.
Yeah.
And then he's showing him the files about all this dirt he has on the Falcons. And it's like just this endless thing. And he's like, he's 10 steps ahead, but we don't know how he is,
Yeah.
and that's a really intriguing point of view because usually when we're used to watching these shows, we know every character's move, sometimes even before they do.
Yeah.
But in this case, we don't know his moves. We don't know what he's going to do next.
And there's
which
always
is cool.
a trick up their sleeves.
Yeah.
Which is so cool, man.
Exactly.
And I think like just every scene, especially in episode 2 with Penguin, it's just so cool because each and every one of these situations, his life is on the line. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, his whole life, he's walking on the edge, right? And he's a master liar. I don't know. That's just so fun to watch, man.
It is.
Watching him wiggling his way out of these, scenarios. As the episode goes on, right? He's playing the Maronis, telling them go to the Falcons. He's playing the Falcons, trying to get the Maronis to take.
Which is so
take
cool.
them out.
He's
telling
so
them he'll
good.
start the Falcons drug business, all this stuff, and then the whole scene. Near the end with the whole knife and the prisoner and him trying to get the guy back, but then the improv when Victor fails,
problem, and then he's like, I gotta improvise. Yep.
Brilliant.
Yep. And then it all works to his favor where Sophia completely almost trusts him.
See, there's no way that she does. So like she's so smart too.
She doesn't trust him, but I don't think she
Do you think she bought that it was her security?
Yes.
Because I'm not sure. Because obviously, because she's a psychopath, I don't think she had any connections to him.
I fully believe that she doesn't trust Penguin because she knows that he's a little manipulative scumbag.
Yeah.
But I truly do believe that she thinks that she found the murderer of her brother. I don't think that she still believes Penguin did it.
That scene, though, I wish they would have showed it in a little more depth, right? Because the whole time, right, the Maronis have a man, and they're like, you need to go get our man back. And the Falcons have taken him, and Penguin's like, well, how am I supposed to do this? Goes down there, and the whole time he's going to blame, who is it, like Johnny, right? Or something like that, and plant the jewels in the car. However, Victor fails. He's still a kid. He's not used to this kind of life. So he has to improvise, and he knows that, obviously, Irv Bond, or whatever his name is going to talk. So he elects to kill him. And then once they find the body, they start searching for the knife. I thought it was a little weird that he didn't ditch the knife immediately, but I guess the whole time he had plans to plant it.
Right.
I thought it was weird, when he goes to, right, he grabs Johnny, right? Johnny Vitti, but then the knife was in the pocket of the bodyguard, which was, I don't understand how that happened. I thought he was going to plant on Johnny.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It didn't show that. You're like, holy crap, this guy is good,
he's so
man.
good. He's so good. And just to kind of see, how he's doing all this stuff and the steps he has and how he's playing both sides. And I feel like, what's going to happen, this is my prediction. I think what's going to happen, he's building up, he's playing both sides. Eventually, and maybe around episode 6, 7, somewhere in there, it falls apart on him. They're both against him. Everything comes out or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he picks himself up out of the pieces to where he does become on top. I think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I can definitely see it leading that way.
But we'll see when we get into that. But now I'm pretty much well covered Inside Man. Do you have any other thoughts about it?
I think just episode 2 just really goes to show just kind of how selfish he is. Obviously, with the exception of Vic, it's the whole time he's looking out for himself, and he sees everything just kind of, there's no good or bad, so, he has no emotions really about just ripping out, this poor dude who's lying, completely drugged up. It's about him. It's about self-preservation. So I think they established that really early. He just cares about making his way to the top, making sure he stays out alive. So I think episode 2 is really good. There's a lot of action in it. And like I said, the whole time it's just him wiggling his way out of stuff. And then the really tense scenes with him and Sophia, I think were brilliantly written. And I really don't have any, cons so far with this.
I completely agree. All right, so let's go on to episode 3 titled Bliss. So this episode gives us some more insight about Victor and his backstory. It starts off showing that what he was doing the night of the flood when the Riddler blows up, the walls to the wharf.
That was so sad,
it was so emotional. It really gave a lot of character depth to Vic.
I know.
Seeing his family.
It made you really start to like him.
I know.
It
gives him that likability factor, especially with his stutter that he has and all of this stuff and how he struggles. And he's really not a bad kid, just fell in with a bad crowd, lost everything he had, lost his family, his mom and dad's sister, all of this stuff. And he seemed like to have a really great home. He almost reminded me a lot of, and tell me if you felt the same, of Miles Morales. He felt very similar to him. Like if it wasn't DC, I'd be like, that's Miles Morales.
Yeah, really, honestly.
So I could also see him potentially being an almost Robin, turning and being good, but I don't think they'll go
that'd
that
be
route,
really cool.
But anyway, his family getting wiped out. He was with his girlfriend at the time period, and just giving some backstory to him.
I know,
cool.
man. That hurt. When the scene first started, I didn't know that was in the past.
I didn't either.
So once explosions start going on, I feel like, okay, this is what happening. And man, it just hurts, and it puts really everything into perspective too. That scene with his dad, where his dad's working as a mechanic, and he's saying, "Well, you could be making more money," and his dad's like, like for what we have and where we came from, like we are more than blessed, and this is enough. Right. Even though they're living in a really tiny apartment, with his sister,
really bad neighborhood in Gotham,
in a bad neighborhood with just his sister and mom and dad. They were good people, and they were happy through everything. And this is really kind of the first time that we see the devastation from this flood on such a personal level, right? Because in the Batman, you see it, just kind of scoped out, from Batman's perspective. But here, you start to make connections with the victims and the people that Riddler killed. And man, it just hurts so bad too, because you see that his dad, is trying really hard to keep him away from crime. He's trying to say, don't hang out with this guy. His cousin's a drug dealer. Watch who you hang out with, and it's just sad to see that. Obviously knowing, what becomes because of his parents' death. But, man, this episode was just wrecking me.
It hit.
Yeah, that beginning was tough.
Absolutely. And then as we progress, we go back to modern times. You see, it didn't actually, wasn't actually happening current. And, really developing Vic's character with Oz, and Oz really taking a really big liking to Vic in this episode, really showing that he's like almost a father figure, or feels like he is.
Yeah.
And it's like enjoying the company of him, takes him out to a really nice dinner later on the episode. And, listening intently to his story about his parents and, talking about him. And he's like, that's amazing. He's like, use that.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Man, it really makes you want to root for Oz.
Yeah.
And it,
shows a human value.
I know we said episode 1 that, we were kind of unsure of the Vic storyline, and I think maybe I said something along the lines of, I don't know if it's good that we want to see the Penguin being empathetic. But in episode 3, I loved it. I really did. I really loved the relationship that they explored there, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, throughout this episode, Gabriella, his girlfriend, appears kind of for the first time in a while. And she tells him, that, hey, I'm leaving and I want you to come with me. So for the first time, Victor is presented with this choice. Like, I could stay with this guy. I don't know what he's going to do to me. I don't know where this life leads. I don't know if I'm cut out for it. Or I could go and I could, go with Gabriella or Garciela, whatever her name was, and have a nice life.
Yeah.
And just watching him really just struggle with this decision mentally throughout the episode was... Man, it was tough because you start to put yourself in his shoes. You're like, oh, man, what would the fear of what this guy would do to me impede me from going to living this life? Or, this guy, he's offering me something that I never could have gotten if my parents, were still here, or a life that I couldn't get.
Right.
It's so luxurious that this girl couldn't give me either. What should I do? I thought it was really good.
It is. It gives that just that moral boundary and going back and forth, and the ultimate decision he makes is really awesome, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
Accumulation of everything, the building of the relationship, it just really furthered the story. And I agree. Like, we both had our doubts originally, but now it's starting to see like, okay, they're doing a good job with it. We'll just see if it continues to develop. Yeah. And then I also really enjoyed, Sofia and Oz's little trip. They go on this little trip together.
Yeah.
Discovering this new drug that they're trying to develop as kind of a mainstream kind of thing to sell to the public eye. And originally, they go in this shop and it's all these little mushrooms and stuff. My instant thought was poison ivy? Question mark.
My first thought was Walter White.
Yeah, that too.
Come meet our chemist. Dude, how cool would that be?
That would be cool. And then just Walter White shows up.
That'd be so cool.
Like, are you ready to break bad? Fire!
And then Jesse comes out of nowhere.
Jesse comes at her and he's like, if we don't do things right, we better call Saul.
He said the thing.
Yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio.
But no, I didn't think it posed.
I thought about it just because of the plants, and I was like, I thought they were going to talk about it like in a, almost a poison light and make him like a grounded poison ivy. I thought that would.
That's that cool. Bliss, the new drug, right? The Bliss, that started in Arkham to keep them submissive and content. Apparently, like a lot worse, but they're taking like mushrooms and kind of combining
mass
them.
Producing it.
Yeah, so they got this whole operation, which was really cool to see.
It was really cool. Like, got these girls going out and selling it, and then Vic's over here having in the bag, and then he's get this sense of PTSD, which was really crazy. You know, he just like he's fallen to that PTSD. You know, and that's just really really cool to explore.
I think rewinding back a little bit, I think seeing them two, Sophia and Oz with the triad at their first sit down, I think that was really cool. You know, because like we know, you know, Oz is gonna get, you know, what he wants, and when he lies, he's gonna find a way to make up for it later.
Yeah.
So he tells the triad that, like, you know, Johnny Viti's on board. We want to take out Luca. We want to push Sophia to the top. You know, while at the beginning of the episode, they're like, "Get out of here. Go to Italy. You're a problem."
Right.
And you know, you start to pity her, kind of. And then seeing, you know, for the evidence that Penguin has held on to for so long, the pictures of Johnny sleeping with Luca's wife. Then he's like, you know what? Now we're gonna flip this. We're gonna. Oh man, because when they go out to dinner, that's a really cool scene, and they're talking about their stuff, and he's talking about his parents. But then you see at the same time, Oz is there for a reason.
Yep, that's it.
You know, he's gonna blackmail them. Tells, you know, the wife that, hey, I need to catch you in the act, and then here's what we're gonna do. So seeing that part was so cool because he makes all these promises to this, you know, organized criminal empire. And he still delivers on an impossible promise.
Yeah.
I thought was so cool, man.
It is. It's just so cool. Like just how this show, you know, it's really amazingly written. It's so well written. I have to, you know, highlight that, you know, with the wife and, you know, the whole idea, or not the wife, but the one, you know, she's, you know, the whole plot with that. But I mean, the way that they write it, you know, they write 10 steps ahead of what they're writing about. And it's just so cool to see, you know, how he thinks compared to Sophia and developing both their characters and how they, you know, right now they're having a similar goal, but they both have different wants and desires. And it's just cool to see that.
And seeing them in those sit downs too with the triad, like they both had kind of like different perspectives and different ways that they're trying to go about it.
Right.
You know, and Oz had, you know, his way he normally goes, and Sophia was, you know, kind of trying to intimidate them. So it was kind of cool, like, to see, like, Sophia, like, you know, she's essentially just putting Oz in his place this whole episode. You're my driver. You're my former driver. You know, you listen to me when I talk.
Right.
I'm the one leading the stuff where, you know, but it's really Oz carrying these conversations.
Doing everything, and he's the one carrying.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So getting to see the triad was cool, and then, you know, getting to see Bliss, you know, being passed out at the party was cool too, and seeing Victor kind of, you know, becoming that for Oz, and obviously you had that whole conflict with, you know, your girlfriend is waiting at the bus for him.
Or does he go back with Oz?
Yeah, or does he stay with Oz?
Chooses Oz because he realizes, you know, there's so much potential for me. Making $1,000 a week, that's pretty good.
I know, man. In this economy, that's great.
That is great.
But that whole back and forth between him, like, what do I want? And I mean, you're seeing him, like, he's pouring in money. You know, he's with Oz, he's with these girls, and then, you know, but he has this other life. So seeing him contemplate that was really cool. I think the best part about episode 3 was definitely the bathroom scene with Oswald. Dude, it honestly, man, it totally broke me down, right? Because you see, poor Vic is breaking down. He doesn't know what to do. He's having a panic attack. He has all this PTSD, and Oz comes in, you know, and Oz finds out that
what he's doing with his wanting to go with his girlfriend. It's like, you could have gone, you did this, but you chose to stay. Why do you think that? It was so good.
So, like, just seeing, I think the battle of their different perspectives was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, Oz is upset, but I think it was really cool that Oz tells him that he could have left any time, and that he really does like him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like during this back and forth, like, it looks like they're both about to cry, but like truly, Oz is taking a real liking.
He truly cares
to
about
this kid.
He truly, like, he took him under his wing, and he wants to support him now.
Yeah.
Like, he at first he's like, oh, he's baggage, but now he's like, he's actually, I see potential, and it shows that, and he actually has a love for him.
Yeah, you know, he tells her, like, what did you have before I found you? What did you have? You know, like, I've given you all this. I've given you food, money, a place to sleep. I've given you all this. And he's like, and the whole time you could have left. Whereas, you know, I don't know if that's true. To be honest, maybe it is. Maybe it is. But then when he pulls his gun out and then he puts it to his head, he's like, is this how it felt the entire time?
Yeah.
This reinforces the point. Honestly, like, I kind of felt bad, too, for Oswald in this situation, because you could tell that just personally, he was really hurt by this.
He was
so hurt.
He cared about Vic now. And the fact that Vic was going to leave and planning this, it was like, are you kidding me?
You know, without telling him.
Yeah.
Right, obviously, he tried to at the dinner before the waiter interrupted him, which, looking back, you know, Oswald, you know, looking out for him to the waiter, like, hey, let him finish his sentence, man.
Right.
he's just taking such a liking. So just seeing how, personally upset Oswald was just by, him considering leaving, was really cool. And then, the scene with the gun and him saying, "Is this how it felt?" And, you're like, dang, like, maybe the Penguin is right. Obviously, he goes into his... I really liked his dialogue when he was talking about, like, hey, kid, like... when Victor first led off by saying, like, my dad would be ashamed of what I'm doing. So, Vic, he has morality, right? He knows this is right and this is wrong. And then it's really cool to see Penguin's whole take on this whole thing, which defines his character. Like, kid, like, the only thing you should be ashamed of is working your whole life and having nothing to show for it.
Yeah. Oh, that was such a good line. My gosh, that was so hard because it's so true. Yeah. There's so many people.
Especially in Gotham, man,
Yeah, and just work your whole life and to not have anything to show.
There's nothing there. And especially, like, because Penguin came from, something similar. He worked his way up himself. He wasn't...
He's trying to give that same opportunity.
But he worked his way into it, and he's trying to give the same opportunity to Vic. So him just saying that, hey, like...
Even though
everything is great, it's not like black and white like this. He goes like, this is about survival in this city, in this life. It's about survival, and you do what I have to do. So just seeing that battle of morality versus, hey, by the way, it's just about survival, I thought was super, really cool, because obviously it was tied to Vic's family and what his dad was telling him. So, man, that part was cool.
It was really cool.
And then at the end, obviously, you have Victor leave, and then he decides not to go with her. And then he comes back, and by that time, the Maroney showed up at the club, right? And then it looks like they're about to kill or taking Sofia and Oswald, and then it just rams his Maserati straight into him. Yeah. Proving that, hey, like, I like Oswald, he's been my friend. I thought it was really cool. And then he's like, we're back in the kid, you got balls, I knew you'd come back.
Right.
You're like, the band's back together.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, like, how much Sofia what will Sofia think about that? Because she didn't know that he was talking to the Maronis.
No, so there's a lot of cool stuff that we're going to explore in future episodes of, like, how is it going to, when's going to be the breaking point between Sophia and Penguin? Well, she's obviously going to find out eventually. He's obviously going to, realize that, I don't want to work with this girl anymore. And there's just going to be a lot of conflict in the coming episodes between the two characters. But it's definitely, the show definitely has a lot of momentum going for it. It's definitely something that, the whole concept of this gangster, two gangs warring between one another for control of Gotham, and then Penguin, Sophia in the middle of it, wanting all the power. Yeah. It's just so cool.
It's a really cool dynamic.
It's so cool. And to see, ultimately it's going to be who's going to come out on top. Is it going to be Penguin or is it going to be Sophia? And we'll have to wait and see.
And I'm really interested, too, in the Vic and Oswald Cobblepot's relationship, too. Because obviously, this puts a little dent in it, maybe. But it just makes me think, like, what if, he starts the show as sympathetic, but what if at the end he loses all of that?
Yeah. And could potentially, could eventually Sophia, maybe, when she finds out about Penguin and Oz, what he's doing, could she take Vic and maybe kidnap him and then ultimately kill him because of this as a result? Yeah. Could that be a plot point in later episodes? Or do we think Vic will survive? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because they're playing so hard into, how selfless he is, but then there's a Vic storyline and how much he cares for him. So it's like, it just adds a lot of really cool emotional layers to his character. I'm really loving, like I said, I wasn't the biggest Vic fan for the first 2 episodes, but man, he really shined in this episode. He absolutely killed it. Obviously, Sophia did too. She's brilliant, and Colin Farrell always does. But man, this show has a ton going for it. Its numbers are through the roof now.
Absolutely. This latest episode got like a 9.3 on IMDb. Which
Are you kidding?
Crazy, yeah. Wow. So it's going great. So good, I'm so excited for the next couple episodes just to see, what is going to be the accumulation is, what's Oz going to do next, really, is the question.
Yeah, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited, too.
I love it. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode. And as always, if you liked it, please let us know by giving us a download and a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. If you guys want exclusive access to episodes, which includes movie reviews and then fun challenge ideas, subscribe to our membership here is HQ. We also have a new feature on our episodes where you can send us a text message by following a link at the bottom of our episodes. You can submit your questions for Heroes Q&A there, or just shoot us a DM on Instagram.
Yeah.
Also, be sure to check out our Instagram stories weekly for a chance to ask questions for our Q&A segments. And finally, feel free to also check out our YouTube channel and our Instagram at Heroes in the Moment.
And we just want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 3000.